This is a heist for the New York Rangers as they make another trade, officially acquiring Carson Sousy from the Vancouver Canucks. And this has major implications on not just the lineup, but the entire season as they push towards the playoffs. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Rangers Digest. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 68% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with the New York Rangers, from trade rumors to trade reports, to trade reactions like this one, and post-game reactions, all of that fun stuff, it's free. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. But yes, breaking news. The Vancouver Canucks have traded Carson Sousy to your New York Rangers in a pretty interesting deal. Now, I do have to correct myself from a couple videos ago. The Rangers did retain salary on Riley Smith, but the reason I thought that trade was so good is because they could flip that third-round pick. And that's exactly what Drury did in this deal. So the Rangers acquire a left shot, left D, Carson Sousy from the Vancouver Canucks, which carries a $3.25 million cap hit. He is 30 years old. We'll get into the contract and the specifics of that in a second. But to the Canucks the other way, it's just flip that third round pick that they acquired earlier. This is really, really, really good asset management from Drury and the New York Rangers. The Vancouver Canucks save on their cap, and the New York Rangers add that obviously to their cap, but they can afford it with what the Rangers have in terms of salary cap space. Almost $16 million to use at this year's trade deadline. So obviously the first to the trade was Darren Dreger, and first to which pick was Frank Cervelli, so I have to give them credit there. This is the actual breakdown in terms of salary for the trade. Carson Sousy, I should also mention, is a UFA. We'll get more into the contract in just a second, like I said, but I really, really like this trade. And there's a few reasons why. We'll get into a couple now. This is from Vince Mercogliano. And the trade, at the time I'm recording this, just happened. So there's going to be fallout. We're going to get more into it. I believe that there's another trade on the way for the Rangers as well. But we talked about the New York Rangers possibly flipping their new assets for a left-handed defenseman. That's exactly what they've done. So we've been talking about that for a while, and how, we weren't sure what Drury was going to do with the back end. And Carson Sousy has been acquired from the Canucks in exchange for the same third rounder they acquired earlier for Riley Smith. So pretty tidy work there. A little bit of background on Susi, and we're actually going to get into more of a breakdown from Mark Pye from Canucks Digest, who has a chance to watch Carson Sousy on the regular. So we're going to dive into that in a second as well. But, Vince Mercogliano mentioned that Susi a few times in the recent couple of weeks, because he was one of the very few available left shot D or left-handed D options who check the boxes I've been hearing the New York Rangers want to check. He's a big force. He's 6'5", 208 pounds. That's somebody that they want back there on the back end. They want to get heavier on the back end as well. Experience in a top four role and under contract for next season. So he is a UFA. I know I said it earlier in the video. He is a UFA at the end of next season. I was mistaken. He's not a UFA at the end of this season. He has this season left and next season as well. So they have one more year left on the deal. So obviously they wanted to acquire some players with term. That's exactly what they've done. Could be Fox's new partner, but also has experience pairing with Borgen when they were in Seattle. So that's very interesting. There's a lot that they can do with these pairings, and we'll take a look at that in just a second. But I do want to get into this quote from Mark Pye from Canucks Digest, and he said that Carson Sousy was really good last year for the Canucks. Susi and Myers were the shutdown pairing. You can remember last year how good the Vancouver Canucks were, so that was their shutdown pairing. They were incredibly hard to play against. Susi is a lot bigger than some people expect. He's 6'5". Again, we just covered it. He's about 210 pounds. He is a solid fifth D-man right now and definitely can elevate his game, which if he does, he's a top four defenseman. Shutdown D-man. He can fill out a bottom pairing very well with the chance to move up. Played with a lot of on his offside over the last year or the last little bit, and he can switch sides if need be, but would rather him on the left. And I think he is going to play the left for the New York Rangers, and I wonder if it is with Adam Fox. If you take a look at the lineup here, I think you just move everyone down on the left side. DeHaan becomes a scratch, or maybe he goes down to Hartford. Vakanainen goes down to the third pairing, and either you put Susi there with Schneider, who I think can be a really good pairing, and probably something the Canucks wanted on their team themselves when they were asking for Schneider in return for JT Miller, or you can put Susi on the top pairing there with obviously Adam Fox. And a lot of people are going to move down. Schneider might move down to the third pairing as well, so keep that in mind. So they can really play with the pairings here, I think. And acquiring a guy like Susi really opens them up for different possibilities. And I think, again, with Lindgren gone, pairing him with Adam Fox could be really, really good for Adam Fox, because obviously he played a shutdown game last year. And if he's able to translate that into this year, playing with a guy like Adam Fox, who's, always out there offensively doing his thing, I think that could be really good for Adam Fox. And that pairing, it kind of cancels out in that way. And if you take a look at his stats this season, nothing that really jumps off the page at you. Vancouver hasn't been a really good team this year, but he plays a ton of minutes, right? He's averaging almost 20 minutes a night. He averages 18-22. Obviously, lots of giveaways, not as many takeaways, excuse me. And obviously the plus minus, I don't put too much thought into it. Those of you who've been around for a while on the channel know that I don't put too much in the plus minus, but sometimes it does tell a story. But at the end of the day, he's playing on a team that has been disappointing this season. So 10 points in 59 games, not a very offensive guy, but this is exactly what they need more of on the blue line. 6'5", 210 pounds. He's only 30 years old. And his contract goes for a little while still. They still have term on it for next year, which I think is great. If you take a look at his JFresh chart, the defense stands out above everything else, obviously. So definitely a shutdown guy. Hasn't been as good this year. We know that. Carson Sousy, acquired from the New York Rangers, is a stay-at-home defenseman. Big battles for pucks, solid defensive stick, not a fast skater, and very limited with the puck. Was very effective as a shutdown guy last year. This year, not so much. So I wonder if putting him with a guy like Adam Fox would be effective for him. I wonder if you put him back with Borgen. They have experience playing together. They can really play with things. And obviously, Adam Fox is not going to be playing for a while, so they get the opportunity to kind of figure that out without him. And then if it's not working, maybe try it with Adam Fox. So going to be interesting to see what Peter Laviolette has in mind. But I do honestly really like this pickup for the Rangers, and especially that pairing there with Adam Fox. If that ends up being a thing, I would like to see what they look like together. And if you look again at some more advanced analytics from JFresh, not much there, and maybe he shouldn't be carrying the puck, which is why I keep saying maybe he should be playing with Adam Fox over a guy like Will Borgen, who's not, an underrated puck mover in his own right, Will Borgen that is, but could be very interesting to see what they end up doing. The Rangers likely believe the change of scenery will help Susi, and that's from Rono Analyst, just like it did for Borgen. Borgen's been fantastic ever since he came over from Seattle. So, hopefully that this does kind of work out. And as the Rangers push towards the playoffs this year, still a very good team on paper if they can string some wins together. So it's going to be interesting to see what they keep doing here. Chris Drury's really retooled this team on the fly here. I think that there's another move coming as well, so we'll stay tuned for that. But I do really like this move. All the advanced analytics this year, he's not really an advanced analytic darling this year specifically, but in past years, he has a body of work that speaks to, he can be a shutdown defenseman, and I think that's pretty exciting. And again, if you take a look at his contract signed for the rest of this year and next year at $3.25 million, I think that's a great contract, especially if he's able to kind of revert back to what he was doing last year, because the Canucks, something was in that room. JT Miller started going off as soon as he became a New York Ranger. He's been playing great, so maybe the same thing will happen for Carson Sousy as well, but only time will tell. I'm excited to see him play on Saturday against the Ottawa Senators. Absolutely huge game, fighting for a wild card spot there, so should be a very exciting game, and we will be posted here on the channel for reactions on that one for sure. But let me know what you think in the comments of acquiring Carson Sousy for the same pick that they got for Riley Smith. I think it's great asset management. I think this guy is going to bring another layer of, being a defensive defenseman to this defense core. This is something that they needed to do to upgrade even more, because I don't think Jones and DeHaan were going to cut it. I know Adam Fox is out right now, but as a third pairing, I don't know if that was going to cut it. So this is a very good move, and they have some depth now. So it's going to be very interesting. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.